The purpose of this space is to create a very safe environment for people to share a moment of their lives.
I'm Fender Benavides, sales and finance for drive promoters in Coquitlam. We have over 1,200 vehicles in our dealer group. Guaranteed financing available. No credit, bad credit, or new to the country. I am here to help. Salamat po.
Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra building. Foodie World has 75,000 square feet of imported and domestic products, with a large selection dedicated to our Filipino kababayans. With an in-house butcher, variety of seafood, and produce from around the globe. Open every day until midnight. Foodie World, 1 block east of Number 3 Road off Sea Island Way in Richmond. Centrally located in the Richmond Auto Mall since 1984, Richmond Honda features a large selection of Honda certified pre-owned vehicles. Inside the showroom, Honda's newest models are displayed for viewing, and the dealership is staffed 7 days a week for financial consultation.
All the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm. And you may get triggered by them, and if you do, there's a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure. When you're ready, you can come and join us. Welcome everyone to My Story Mondays. I'm your host, Winston Young. I had a lot of time to reflect on what's happening, and what occurred to me when I spoke to all of the speakers and got introduced to their stories, that there is a fundamental theme that kind of popped up. Usually I can see it at the end of the show. This time I saw it at the very beginning, and that's a theme of change. Each individual speaker has their own version of it, and with this renewal coming in September, there's also going to be some changes at My Story Mondays, and if you would like to know what's going on, I just ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, because it'll all be announced there. In my 20s, I was a narcissist. And that stemmed from all the negativity that I grew up with, that I wasn't good enough, couldn't achieve anything, wouldn't amount to much. Couple that with some very, very hyper-strict traditional Chinese upbringing, and there's a lot of pressure to perform. And then the lens got seriously turned inwards. And with the chatter that was going on in my mind, the only way to prove to the world that you're going to be somebody is to prove to the world that you can't fail. So with that, in my 20s, all I was chasing was the almighty dollar. And I've expressed this in previous shows, that I equated my success with how many zeros were in my bank account. But the more zeros I had in my bank account, the more I hated myself. But I didn't understand the correlation. Then one day, after working, I guess I can say the government, because I'm not specifying which government, but working for the government, I left on bad terms and then started my own company. What I didn't understand when I made that decision was what I was going to sacrifice to never be viewed as a failure. In the next 10 years of creating this company, I I made sure that it blossomed, but I didn't understand the cost. And what I mean by that, I had a conversation with my sister, and this was about 7 years in. She looked at me and said, "You're working yourself to death. What's your goal?" And I go, "What do you mean?" It's like, "What is your end goal for this?" I'm like, I don't have one. "So what are you trying to achieve?" I'm like, I want to make a lot of money." "How much?" I'm like, "I don't have a number." "Who are you trying to get acknowledgement from?" I'm like, "Well, I want to prove that I'm a good son to Dad and to Grandpa." She goes, "They're both dead. So you're trying to get acknowledgement from people that are dead, so you never hear it, aiming for a goal that you don't know of, and you're sprinting, trying to achieve with no end in sight." She goes, that's not possible." I go, "Okay, so what are you going to do about it?" She goes, "Well, I had no idea." For the next decade, that was my life. That was my focus. In that period of time, I had a long-term relationship, and it was at the tail end of it when it started to fracture, and I said in a very vulnerable moment, "I can't let go of this because everything that I have is in that golden egg, and I need to see it hatch." Then she said to me, "But you don't understand. I've been watching you watch that egg for the last 10 years. And then she walked away. I had a lot of time after doing work to reflect on what I was giving up in order to achieve success. And to this day, I still reflect on that. Our next speaker gave up many things in her life to achieve success. Some of them were very detrimental to her, and then it reached a point where she had to say, "I want out." And I invite Caitey Gilchrist to the stage to share her story.
I used to be 98% effective. It's pretty good for a human, right? At the time, I was working as a designer for a large corporation. Every day I would design print ads and websites for companies all across Canada. And I enjoyed my work. And I was damn good at it too. Not only was I 98% effective at everything that I did, I had a productivity level of 135%. I was the top performer on my team. But it wasn't fair to my coworkers because I had a secret weapon. I had something that nobody knew about, not even me. I had the power of social anxiety. Yes. Despite being excellent at my job, I had a really hard time connecting with other people. I couldn't relate to my coworkers. I felt pretty alone, and so I just buried myself into my work. My whole life I'd been told, "Oh, I'm just quiet and shy and introverted." And so I thought that was just the life of an introvert. You show up, you stay quiet, you stay out, you get out, and you're done. Pretty easy, right? But that introversion for me turned into something bigger. It turned into fear. And it evolved into anxiety. And here's just a little snippet of what anxiety looks like in the corporate world for me. Anytime I had to make a phone call, if it was to a coworker or a friend or my dentist, it would take me 10 minutes before I could even muster up the courage to pick up the phone. And even before I got to that point, I had to write a script. I would map out entire conversations that might happen to make myself feel comfortable. And I even had a separate script for leaving a voicemail, just in case. And that was the one I longed to use the most because it meant that I did not have to talk to a human being. So I buried myself and I buried myself into my work. And I got lost in it. And I worked longer and harder than any person probably in that building because I wouldn't take breaks. I wouldn't take breaks because I didn't know what to do with myself. I wouldn't be distracted by trivial conversations around the water cooler because those conversations left me feeling extremely uncomfortable. And so I would sit at my computer all day, work 9 hours straight, go home, and work another 4 to 5 hours on freelance projects. How's that for a distraction from your life, right? Now, because of that work habit, I was called a machine. And I took that as a compliment back then. Machines are strong, infallible. Machines are perfect. And like a machine, I could not and would not feel pain when I was working. Because to me, pain was a sign of weakness. And so when pain started creeping into my dominant arm when I was working one day, I ignored it. I kept ignoring it. And I ignored it to the point where it could not be ignored anymore. And one day I found that from the very tips of my finger all the way into the deepest part of my shoulder blade, my arm was just engulfed in this fiery, throbbing, stabbing, shooting pain all at once. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. And I was mortified. I was embarrassed because I had to leave work and go home early. And I could barely drive myself home because my arm was in so much pain and I was crying so much. And later that evening, I ended up going to the emergency room because that pain still hadn't subsided. And I didn't know it back then, but that visit to the emergency room was the start of a 2-year-long journey through medical limbo and my own personal hell. So over the next 2 years, I took countless painkillers, which did absolutely nothing. I had tons of tests performed, and I saw 19 specialists. 19 specialists. I even saw a hand specialist. Did you know that there are humans out there who specialize in nothing but the human hand? It's fascinating. I know this, and he still couldn't help me. In fact, over those 2 years, not a single person could or would diagnose what was physically wrong with me. And all of those tests came back 100% normal. Now, that pain I was feeling was supremely real. It was palpable. It was tremendous and horrifying. But because there is no evidence, my insurance stopped supporting me. And so I got stuck in that state of limbo where I couldn't work and I couldn't take time off. And so even when I tried to go back to work, I ended up just making things worse. And so as a result, I decided, or I didn't decide, but I ended up being in a very, very dark place. I became extremely depressed. Leaving home was so hard, and I couldn't really connect with those people I loved who were closest to me. I would cry all night, sleep all day, felt like human garbage in between. And despite all that, the weirdest thing for me wasn't that isolation, it wasn't that lack of connection, it was that I couldn't understand why when I looked out at those bright blue skies, they somehow looked gray. And that's the thing I remember most from that experience. Now, eventually I did get help, which is good, because that's why I'm standing here today. My depression was taken care of, but I was still a wreck emotionally and physically. And so when my super supportive employer put that severance package in front of me, oh boy, did I leap on it. I had no plan, no clue where I was going. I was still in pain. I was still feeling anxious. But I knew that anywhere I could go was better than where I had been. And so with little financial stability, no real plan, anxiety at an all-time high, that pain still in my arm, I did the logical thing. I started a business. I started a brand consulting business, and the content of that business isn't important. What's important is I designed it around my life rather than the other way around, because I recognized that I needed that time to feel better. There'd be no more 10 to 15 hour days on the computer. There'd be no more machine. But a funny thing happens when you go from full-time employee to full-time business owner. You very quickly and harshly realize that clients, projects, and money don't just fall into your lap. It's funny how that works. And so all of a sudden, the quiet, shy, introverted, anxious woman had to go out and sell to other people. And that was interesting. So on a very cold and windy January day in 2017, I did the single most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. Something so horrifying, it would send shivers down the spines of introverts everywhere. I went networking. And I sucked at it. It was really hard. I didn't know what to do. I had a hard time connecting, and I actually felt like I was back at that corporate office, having a hard time communicating and really connecting with people. But my time as a machine had taught me that one good thing: to push through that discomfort, master it. And so I went to another networking event, and another one, and another, and another, until one day I found myself standing in front of a stranger, eloquently presenting myself and my business without a script. Who are you? Is what I was thinking. But it was a really magical experience. And over that time of networking and really connecting with humanity, I met some really amazing people who taught me some tremendous things. I met people who helped me acknowledge my anxiety, and I met people who helped me let it go. And I met people who helped me rediscover my confidence and my self-worth. And I met people who taught me that above all, one of the most important skills that we can learn is self-care, regardless of whether you're a business owner, an employee, or just a human being. And I also noticed something interesting was happening over that time. Despite stopping all those tests, all those treatments, and everything in between, my pain was going away. And that's when I realized that the one thing I needed the most was the one thing I'd been avoiding my whole life. And I learned that we need to take care of ourselves. And through embracing the gifts of humanity, amazing things can happen. And so I'm letting go of that pain. I let go of that anxiety. And for the first time in a really long time, I feel genuine joy. I feel present. And I feel like a flippin' human being. And I don't know whether I'm still 98% effective, but I do know that I am 100% cared for. Thank you, everyone.
Caitey Gilchrist, everyone.
My name is Jeevan Bath. Suki Bath has been selling quality pre-owned vehicles for 37 years. All of our vehicles come with a certified inspection report, and history reports are available for all vehicles. All of our sales staff is fully licensed. Visit sukibathmotors.com today.
Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
all the stories that you're going to hear tonight are personal in nature, some of which can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may get triggered by them. And if you do, there's a beautiful lounge to the back of XY that you can go down, chill out, get your composure. When you're ready, you can come and join us. When I created this event, I opened the stage to everyone. And I didn't understand, me coming from my own little point of view that had little blinders on, what everyone meant. Like I understood there's the LGBTQ community out there, but I actually had no access to them. And through people that I met through the show and through the generosity of the people at XY, I was introduced to a lot of people. And from that, I got to hear stories from a point of view that I would never have access to. Because, as I said earlier, it's like I wouldn't even know where to go. Even if I did and I walked into a room, like what would I say as a, I don't know what the current PC term is, but as a general straight guy walking into a room that is varied in terms of culture and sexual identity and gender identity, how do you go and connect without feeling any bit of anxiety? So having this space and having speakers come up from those backgrounds to share their story, I feel very fortunate to have that opportunity. And I ask that you put aside whatever judgment or idea you have and just open your mind for this moment and just take in what's about to be shared, because you can only benefit from it. And how else would you get a glimpse into a part of the world that you might normally never get a chance to peek into? So with that said, I invite Alexis Ellis to the stage to share her story.
Hey guys. So, hi, my name is Alexis. I want to thank My Story and Winston for giving me this chance today. So you guys know, I kept this quiet for all. I have cerebral palsy. So if my speech is bad, you know why. So you guys know, I'm a transgender. This year was a big challenge for me because of all the surgeries I had, challenges, what I've been doing. I had a great challenge. It was a total makeover challenge. That was a miracle. It gives me a chance of waking up, made my life open door. Then I did a best kept, or BKSS group after the challenge, and I kind of came and did public speaking. And I'm an author of a life story in a chapter of a book. I'm still working on it. So what has been like in November last year, I had my surgery in Montreal. The only place in Canada does this surgery. It was a nerve-wracking, never flown, went by myself, no family, no friends, just me and my phone and my laptop, an iPad or tablet. So I've been on that. So that's how I contact everyone. Been on my phone so much, costing me a lot of money, but it is work. Yeah, it's like my life story is wants to tell everyone is they could be free to themselves, their true self. Like, I want them to come out, stop hiding, and come out and live to their life. I have a very inspired story, and I was glad to do Surrey Pride this year as my first speaking event. Doing this is my third one, but there is another one I'm doing. It's going to really hit me real hard because it's going to be a transgender group. That's going to really wake me up, and who knows what's kind of emotional. Like other speakers today, they have depression. I do too. I just noticed it last couple of weeks, and I'm just going to get hope and enjoy my life. So, and like is feel lonely sometimes in this life, because some people don't understand transgender. So I want to come out. I want to show people what the life is like. And it's not difficult to come out. I want them to come out, do speaking events like my story, come out and tell their story. That's it.
Alexis Ellis, everyone. Thank you.
Kingsway Vacuum Sales and Service has a variety of janitorial supplies. Oh, and they do have vacuums. And they're on Kingsway, 4 blocks west of Boundary.
I'm Fender Benavides, sales and finance for drive promoters in Coquitlam. We have over 1,200 vehicles in our dealer group. Guaranteed financing available. No credit, bad credit, or new to the country. I am here to help. Salamat po.